The first thing I'd like to say to you is the deep gratitude that Marcia and I both have for your support to allow us to have the adventure of a lifetime and the privilege and the honor to represent our state, both in Washington as well as overseas. And it has been an extraordinary journey, and you all made it possible. And so we are deeply grateful to you for that opportunity. And we've done our very, very best to represent the state that we love and I think stands above all other states. You know, it was a little over a year ago when I announced that I wouldn't be seeking re-election in the 2016 election. At the time, I said, there comes a time in life when you have to recognize that passing the torch on to the next generation to carry on what you were trying to accomplish when you were in office, that time for Marcia and I has come. We believe it's the right time. But I am so thrilled to be able to stand here today to know that Hoosiers, in an overwhelming vote, have chosen as their next United States Senator someone who will carry on the vision that we've all had for the future of our country, as directed by what we've done here in Indiana, Todd Young for Senate. Now, Todd's got the stuff. He's got all the character qualities, all the experience, the education, the commitment, what he's achieved, a graduate of the Naval Academy, a Marine. You know, for an Army veteran, it's a little hard to talk about Marines. They don't think much of us. This old vet's got a hat that says Army Strong, and then they say, the few, the proud Marines. But that says about who he is. That says a lot about his commitment. That says a lot about what he has accomplished in life. You know, being selected to go to the Naval Academy, graduating and joining the Marines, 10-year career, going to grad school, getting a degree in economics, a master's degree in economics at the University of Chicago, getting a law degree, being elected to Congress, chosen by his colleagues to serve in the most powerful committee in the House of Representatives, the Ways and Means Committee. A tremendous resume, a tremendous qualification for someone that's going to move on. But you know, folks, this is step one. There's 2 steps in this process. We've got to think about November now. And thinking about November means we have to unite the party and bring it together. Primaries aren't fun. They're hotly contested. But the differences between us, the ties that bind us, are ties that so much greater than the little things that stand between us or that where we have differences. We are one team. We believe in one way of going forward in terms of dealing with the issues facing this country. We had 2 good candidates who worked very, very hard. Their voting records were almost identical. They were solid conservatives. Hoosiers have chosen someone to carry the torch forward. Now, Todd and I have something else in common in terms of being veterans of the military. Both of us have run against Barron Hill. And I did it a long time ago, 26 years ago. I can't believe it. Todd did it, of course, in 2010. I think it's time we send one last message to Barron Hill. That Indiana will not send back to Washington a senator who will join with the Harry Reids, Chuck Schumers, Barack Obamas, and I can name a lot of other names, and join Democrats who are imposing big government, liberalism, imposing regulations that are killing us, imposing tax increases to pay for ever-growing government, enabling us into debt which our children and grandchildren will have a very difficult time paying off. Indiana will not send that kind of person to Washington, but we will. We'll send the kind of person to Washington that will take up the torch, that will carry Indiana's vision for the future of America. And I am so proud to be able to tell you and introduce the person who will do that and his lovely family, Todd Young, for Senate.
Thank you, Indiana Republicans. You know, after all this hard work by so many people, it's come to this, and I have to admit, I'm feeling a swirl of different emotions right now. But as a Marine, I can sum it all up in one word: oorah. We kicked off this campaign last July at the American Legion in Sellersburg, and I shared with those in attendance at that time that we would win this campaign. We would win this campaign because I had confidence that all Hoosiers would rally behind the campaign. We would win this campaign because I had confidence that, as in 2010, people would stand up, they'd speak out, they'd get involved in the process during an important time for their country. They'd knock on doors. They'd work the phones. They talk about our vision for America to their neighbors. You see, I had confidence that from the beginning, this was going to be a team effort, and folks, you didn't let me down. Thank you so much. Yeah. All of you are here today because you share our common sense Hoosier values, our common sense conservative principles. And you know it's not enough to stand by idly and hope that they get advanced. All of you, you rolled up your sleeves, you got involved, and you've taken part, an important part of the process to help us advance them. This was a hard-fought race, as Senator Coats mentioned. I think it's appropriate right now that we all stop, we pause, we recognize how much we respect Marlin Stutzman. He didn't let down until the last moment of this campaign. I think we should give him, his wife Christy, and the entire Stutzman family a grateful round of applause. And before I go any further, I know you'll indulge me. You understand the importance of recognizing a very special patriot, without whom this collective effort wouldn't be possible. Please join me in a loving and very heartfelt round of applause for my wife and mother of my 4 children, Jenny. Thank you. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Friends, this campaign was about solutions. It was about advancing conservative solutions. That's why I'm running for United States Senate. I'm running because Jenny and I want for these 4 young kids the same thing that every Hoosier family wants for their children and their grandchildren. A quality education that leads to a good paying job that ultimately leads to a meaningful career in places like Indiana. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm running because I learned a thing or two at the Naval Academy and in the U.S. Marines. Primarily, I learned that the world is a very dangerous place. But it only gets more dangerous if the United States of America turns our back on the world. You deserve a United States Senator who understands that fundamental principle. And folks, I'm running for people like my parents. They're here tonight. My dad's a small businessman, works very hard. My mom, a registered nurse. Great job at taking care of family, hard worker, and still good Hoosier values in me. They're conservative people, but you know what? They're not really political people. They haven't seen enough conservative results coming out of Washington, D.C. They want us to affect conservative change, not just talk about it. That's why I'm running for United States Senate for Indiana. Yeah. Now, for those who paid attention to my campaign against Barron Hill back in 2010, you'll recognize some commonalities. My objectives haven't changed. The mission hasn't changed. I still want to advance common sense Hoosier conservative principles. Ladies and gentlemen, Barron Hill and I just happen to disagree on a number of important issues. Barron Hill has a habit of saying popular things here in Indiana, often conservative-sounding things, but then he'd vote for very liberal policies in Washington, D.C. He said he's for the working man, but then he'd vote for a cap-and-trade tax bill that would decimate Hoosier manufacturing jobs. He said he wanted to expand in a sustainable way health care to more Americans, but then he voted for Obamacare, which has increased the cost of care, we know, and it's reduced Hoosiers' access to the doctors they most want. He said he's for fiscal responsibility, but he voted for Obama's failed trillion-dollar stimulus package, ushering in the era of Obama's reckless spending. Folks, we can do better than Barron Hill's policies, and we aim to do so in November. It's going to be a fight. I know Barron Hill's prepared to put his career as a lobbyist on hold to campaign for this position. But together, if we stick together, if conservatives come together and are determined to do so, we will defeat him in November and keep this Republican seat in Republican hands. Yeah. Now, at this point, I'd be remiss, having said that politics is a team sport, without acknowledging key members of my team. So, allow me to do so. But before I do so, let me remind all the full-time members of Team Young that it's just halftime. We've still got to play the second half. I want to acknowledge our campaign manager, Trevor Foudy, and our senior advisor. Yeah. Attaboy, Trevor. All right. And right next to him, our senior advisor, Cam Savage. Yeah. In true Hoosier fashion, they were able to deploy our resources in a very prudent way. So we made sure every dollar, every penny went exactly towards its most effective use. More importantly, they were able to hire and recruit the best and brightest to work on our campaign. We're going to keep doing that moving forward. Let's thank them. We have a first-rate fundraising team. It's led by Jeff Wuslich. He's been called the money machine by some journalists. Yes, yes. Jeff is ably assisted by Aaron Casey, by Sidney Cruz, by Maria James. I'm so proud of you folks. You've broken fundraising records during a down economy. Yeah. I call the next guy my wingman. We've logged over 50,000 miles on his Honda since August, and we're going to do more. We're just getting started, John. All right, yeah. Great young man. There he is. Our communications guru, Joe Garrett, he's ensured our message is heard in every corner of this state when I can't be in that particular corner. Thank you, Joe. Yeah. And I'm not just here in Indiana. I've had colleagues approach me in Washington, D.C. and say that we have the best grassroots operation in the United States of America. Yeah. I wish I could say it happened spontaneously, okay? But it too has required a whole lot of hard work. And we have to thank our political director, Matt Hum, for organizing that effort. It didn't hurt that you have the hardest working field staff also in the entire country. Kenton, Thomas, Aaron, Cody, Rachel. Job well done, folks. Finally, and I believe most importantly, we've had rank and file Hoosiers volunteering their own time. An hour here, an hour there. 50 hours here, 100 hours there. People understand the importance of this race. They want to keep conservative control of the United States Senate. Thank you to our Hoosier volunteers. We're going to grow our ranks in coming weeks and months, aren't we? Yeah. Now, I know there's been some talk about a day of rest, right? Jenny told me I should give you a day of rest. So everyone has permission to enjoy yourself this evening and tomorrow, but we're going to get started later this week. How's that sound? All right, yeah, good. All right. I know all of you are ready for the fight ahead. I certainly am. And to those Hoosiers whose vote we did not earn tonight, I just want to extend a hand to you. I'm prepared to work very, very hard to earn your trust and support because, you see, I know we share the same common sense conservative values. And I'm confident that Hoosier conservatives will do what, in my experience, they've always done. They'll answer the call of duty. They'll muster up. They'll close ranks. And they will recognize that together we can ensure that Indiana is the first state on the board to elect a Republican president of the United States and keep this Senate seat in Republican hands. You have my word. I'll do my part. Semper Fidelis, God bless you, and God bless America. Yeah.